lives in a pineapple under the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants. Yellow, absorbent, and porous is he. SpongeBob SquarePants. I have never seen an episode of SpongeBob in my life. Let's do the show. Okay, so SpongeBob SquarePants is a show you probably have heard of. In season 5, episode 5 of SpongeBob, otherwise known as the Best of Frenemies, the Kelp Shake stand takes over Bikini Bottom. There's one on this corner, there's one on that corner. They're everywhere. They're popping up all over the place.
They're multiplying.
Kelp Shakes are everywhere, and I thought it was time to finally make us a Kelp Shake. There's a few recipes I found online for, quote, Kelp Shake. They all are like health shakes. That's not what I do here. I'm gonna make mine with alcohol. So we're gonna make a Kelp Shake cocktail. Maybe I'll do a write-up on how to use kelp in a smoothie, but to be perfectly honest, like, I feel like the world has got you covered. I'm probably the only person, though, who's gonna tell you how to use alcohol in a kelp shake. There's plenty of kelp smoothies out there, you know? You can go to whatever blog you want for that stuff. They got you. Ah, yeah, they got you. You put kelp and some celery and some pineapple and kale, but like in all the kelp shake recipes I found online, it's like teeny tiny little bit of kelp, man. But we're gonna use some kelp. If I'm not mistaken, in the show, it turns out to be 99% kelp and 1% radioactive isotope that causes rapid hair growth.
Come to Papa, hold it right there.
If you could see me without this glorious flannel shirt, you would know that I have been chugging Kelp Shake all my life. So the first thing I'm going to need is my small tin. The second thing we're going to need is kelp. I kind of feel like we should do that again, but with some like foghorn sound effect. We're gonna need some kelp. Yeah, that's what I was going for. It is a challenging ingredient in my estimation. Also, please reuse this bag, as it says at the bottom. It's like my grandmother. She stored everything in giant, formerly cheese puff jars. Big orange cheese puff jars. So what we want to do is take one of our, oh God, the smell. We want to take one of our dried pieces of kelp out, okay? And we'll set this reusable bag, this handy dandy reusable bag aside. And I want to cut off a piece of this. I want to cut about that much. As it turns out, I've played around with this a bit. This is a lot of kelp, so we don't need to do too much with this. This is a lot of kelp. Okay, so we'll just set that aside. And I'm gonna take this piece of kelp here and I wanna pull it apart a little bit, but for what we're gonna do with it, it won't matter. And we're gonna drop that into our shaker. And I've tried a couple different things with this. I tried blending it. The trick there, I found out, is that kelp is, if I'm not mistaken, and if it's not kelp specifically, it is seaweed, is the source of agar. Agar, and I might be pronouncing it wrong, maybe it's agar or agar. It's a plant-based gelatin. So if we blend this, it's gonna turn real goopy. The mouth feel was not desirable. Then I tried boiling it to do like an extraction, and that did sort of work. Got a real unpleasant smelling and tasting brown water. It was like sea brine. Not so great there either. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna nitro muddle it, and if you've never nitro muddled, you will need some liquid nitrogen. You can get liquid nitrogen at your local welding supply. You just need to have a Dewar flask to store it in. It's really cheap, actually. It's like generally between $2 and $5 per liter. A liter does not, it's not some insignificant amount. The Dewar flask, on the other hand, is not that cheap. I suppose you could try to do this, get your kelp into your drink a different way, just straight muddling, doing an extraction. I do think that this ingredient loves to be nitro muddled more than anything else. So you just pour this into your shaker over the top of your kelp. Dave Arnold would suggest that you use smaller thermoses for handling it around the bar like that. My Dewar flask is right on the cusp of being too big to just do that with, so. And then you muddle. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this tin is gonna get very cold down here. Never touch the working end of it when it's got nitro in there. It'll hurt you. The metal is dangerous to touch, but the liquid nitrogen itself, because of the Leidenfrost effect, will just bounce off of your skin. Although, you know, lab safety protocols should say that I'd be wearing eye gear and gloves, and maybe my eyes are at some risk. In actual practice, you're sort of safer doing this like almost naked, so that because it's your clothing it will stick to, and then you will get burned, you know, or frostbite. And you can hear we're just pulverizing this into a really fine powder. One of the benefits of nitro muddling when you're working with fresh fruits and vegetables is that it prevents oxidization, which, because it is in an oxygen-deprived environment, it's in a nitrogen environment, and that will cause browning to occur to like things like mint or basil when you muddle them. In this case, it's actually just helping us destroy the cell walls of the kelp, which is like crazy tough. Remember, this stuff lives in a turbulent ocean, so there's a lot of like strength in there, and that agar or whatever, gelatin. I don't know that we're doing much in the field of preventing oxidization. It's just the way we're going to get a flavor extraction from the kelp is by using the liquid nitrogen. And if you're gonna do anything with liquid nitrogen, make sure that before we proceed, like to shaking and whatever, that this has basically stopped smoking. This is now very cold, but there's no more liquid nitrogen in there. It's safe to handle. We can freely add ingredients to this and shake it. I've done nitro muddling on the show once before as well. Actually, it was like the first episode I did doing a riff on a drink from Game of Thrones. I did Shade of the Evening, and that involved nitro muddling to get an extraction from butterfly pea blossoms and sage, actually. We got a really nice sage flavor out of that. It was extremely good. The rest of this drink is pretty straightforward, and it pulls from a lot of tiki kind of places, which I think it makes a lot of sense with spongy. I want to start with a ½ ounce of orgeat. I frequently make my own orgeat. I was lazy today, and I'm using Small Hand Foods orgeat. The label's not on there because that's, you know, what you do on TV. But this is a fantastic orgeat if you don't want to make your own. ½ ounce. Some people think it's pronounced orgeat. They're wrong. Sometimes I pronounce it orgeat because I'm an American, and that's fine. Like over here in New Jersey, we don't have oranges, we have oranges. I need 1½ ounces of pineapple juice. I'd love to tell you that I'm using fresh squeezed pineapple juice, but this is from Trader Joe's. I'm using fresh squeezed pineapple juice. Gels. We need some pineapple gels. Some fresh squeezed pineapple gels. I need 2 ounces of rum. I would stay away from a dark rum here because we want to achieve a certain color first off, and also because the kelp can be pretty heavy in taste to begin with. So I would go with something a little snappier. I really like a Rum Barbancourt. It brings a lot of character, a lot of flavor, and it stands up, I think, in the face of this kelp. This mighty, mighty kelp. I want to add a bar spoon of this allspice strain, just a little bit, and you could go even less than a bar spoon. I would say that's even maybe an optional ingredient. When I was working on this recipe, I just thought that this helped the evolution and flavor profile kind of hang on and have some places to go. Let's shake this drink and see how it came out. 1 large ice cube for displacement and helping to add air and froth, and a cracked cube to add dilution and chilling. They work together very well. We can thank Dave Arnold for both that and the technique of nitro muddling. If you're interested in that, and Dave Arnold and the amazing science-y wizardry he came up with, you should check out his book, Liquid Intelligence. That one and Imbibe I go back to more often than any other book in my arsenal for when I'm researching how to come up with something. Go to the roots, go to the future. That's my technique. And let's shake it. Shaky, shaky.
Make it stop, Gramps! Make it stop!
That is the glass I have that is closest to the Kelp Shake bottle from the show. One thing about this nitro muddling is that it will produce very fine pieces of vegetation, and you could double strain through your Hawthorne strainer and a strainer, but in this case I'm gonna triple strain because I really want to get as much of that out as I humanly possibly can, and this is gonna help. Top that up with some seltzer. All right, this is it. This is Kelp Shake. I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is Kelp Shake. I'm not gonna lie, it's surprisingly good. It's super good. I mean, it's not, yeah, it's good. I like it. You get pineapple and, let's go again. Let me try that again, because I don't hate it at all. I'm just trying to think about what it is that I'm experiencing. It's unique. It's definitely different than, than anything I've ever had. It's Kelp Shake. I don't know. What does kelp taste like? It tastes like the sea, which sounds really unpleasant, but in this case, we've balanced it a lot. There's, you know, ratio-wise, there's plenty of kelp in here, but there's a lot of pineapple. And there's a lot of rum by comparison. And that really thins out that kelp flavor, which can be exceedingly overpowering. I'm telling you, I was playing around, it was rough. Here, we get that essence throughout it. It's a little salty, but not overpoweringly salty. And then it evolves quickly into a slightly bitter place, I think is what it is. But that is quickly supplanted by this pineapple, rum, and spicy allspice dram. Just, you get that, like, kind of just cuts the edge off of that. And the rum is very nice in this. This is a good rum for this. It's funky, and it brings a little bit of, because it's pot still rum, brings a little bit of the banana funk, which mates up nicely to pineapple. Pineapple and banana is a great combination. The nuttiness of the orgeat is great. That just like adds this sort of textural mouthfeel, this smokiness. I don't know, how do you, it tastes like almonds. It adds almondiness to it. Almondiness. You probably think I'm insane. I'm telling you, this is actually really good. This is a totally drinkable drink. You could put this in a bar, people would order it, and they would say, oh wow, it's different, that's really cool. I've never had anything like that. And they would tip you heavily for it, I promise, because you used real Kombu kelp in a reusable bag.
What does the kelp taste like on its own?
She's right, that's the question I have to answer for you. I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is kelp. Salt, and dog. Just a moment. She's a salty dog. Well, you're not supposed to even do that. It's not like this is a snack kelp that's designed for eating. This is for cooking. That is a concentrated kelp ingredient. Although it is just kelp and salt or some kind of preserver. It's something. It tastes like a salty dog. And I don't mean a cocktail, I mean like a dog that you have salted. So we've taken it a long way away from where it started. No, it really is a totally okay, it's a good drink. It's a totally okay drink. Its level of okayness is high. My barware is all courtesy of Barfly Mixology gear. There's a link in the pinned comment below. You can pick up the tools that I'm using on the show right there. My wristwatches are provided courtesy of my very good friends at Crown and Caliber. Is the best place to buy or sell a watch. If you have any interest in watches at all, check out the link in the pinned comment below. I appreciate it. Thank you. The best time to wear a striped sweater is all the time. Kelp Shake!